Esports taking on It's Gosu. Again, this is the only match that is happening today. It's a losers bracket round 3 matchup. The winner will play Trademark Esports in the losers bracket final. So let's go ahead and jump into the game. We got TteS Esports on the Legion side. It's Gosu on the Hellborn side. And the blind bands just about to take place, so we'll see what those are. And again, that's where it starts. So TteS Esports, I mean, who do you blind ban here? Do you blind ban that Tremble even? I mean, because that works so well for It's Gosu. Do you blind ban that Legionnaire because that works so well? Or do you just go with your typical blind bans and hope that you can deal with those Trembles, those Legionnaires, those Magnuses later on throughout the banning phase perhaps even? But Wild Soul Cherizaya going to be blind banned by TteS Esports, and then Wild Soul Tundra blind banned by It's Gosu. So Wild Soul banned by both of these sides.
Well, I was just going to say, while I think Tremble is strong, especially KZU playing him, he had a very good start. I think the biggest problem was the Wild Soul, honestly. Being able to get so much farm and not being able to get ganked, because you can spot out possible ganks with your bear, and that's exactly what Zai did. He played it very well, and it's just such a strong hero. And like Zai mentioned, he thinks either first pick or ban, and so since It's Gosu knows they're not first pick, they're just going to go ahead and ban it because they know that TteS Esports likes to run him as well. Now, Tundra very smartly banned there by Insania. It seems like he wants to ban him whether he's first pick or second pick, so he will always be banned. Cherizaya, no question there. Ophelia to be first locked here from Slicks, and then Tempest and Tremble yet again is in that lock pool, so perhaps we'll see another Tremble. Maybe TteS Esports will throw a curveball at him and actually pick Tremble themselves. I know they used to pick him back in the days of DreamHack Winter 2011, and actually that was Jabba Waba who used to play him a lot.
Yeah, good memories. Good, great home player. It's unfortunate that he did stop playing, but yeah, you're right. That is going old school there for TteS Esports, but maybe there's that chance that figuring that they would lock it, they'll kind of snatch him up for themselves. But man, you'd be passing up a lot of very strong first pick potential heroes there on that board. The Tempest, the Ophelia, the Bubbles even with that lock. So it's going to be a tough decision to say the least for TteS Esports. But yeah, so Bubbles and Cthulhu Font are the follow up there from TteS Esports, and now the final lock coming out from It's Gosu. We'll see who it turns out to be as far as their choice. You know, you still got plenty of options, as always, left on the board. But yeah, you could argue that maybe for It's Gosu, the Wild Soul ban is a little bit interesting. I mean, again, the fact that, though, TteS Esports, they also have proven to play very good Wild Soul themselves, specifically Whitalpa, I guess you could safely say that it still is worth that blind ban yourself, even though you played it so well in that first game. But Nomad is the final lock, and something tells me he ain't going to be picked here.
Yeah, Nomad just really, I don't think has ever seen his way into a competitive match, maybe one or two times, but just a ridiculously hard hero to fit into kind of any lineup. He requires a lot of farms, so I would be really surprised, but at the same time extremely excited to see him actually picked if he was. But yeah, that's kind of more of a trollish lock. The bans have started, but Slicks is wasting a little bit of time. Nope, he goes ahead and bans Little Luna right there. And we'll see what this Gosu does. They go ahead and ban Pebbles. Pebbles is a very, very strong hero, especially in the hands of Slicks. Now, we did see Slicks run him yesterday against Complexity, but not to as great a success as we've seen him in the past. So, but nonetheless, that doesn't necessarily mean Slicks played it wrong or Pebbles wasn't the best pick. It just, there's so many other factors, and Pebbles is always a strong pick.
No, yeah, again, taking you back a little bit, that was game 2 against Complexity yesterday, or that was the day before, actually. Yeah, that was when they faced him. When it was in the winners bracket semifinal.
Oh, you're right.
So that was just fantastic play by Complexity, though. I mean, he got such an early portal key steam boots. I remember that, and he was roaming around trying to use it, but Complexity just played so passive. They did not give him any opportunity to really use it effectively, and that was also the Draconis game, I believe it was, on Hackstream, where he got ridiculous amount of farm and became unstoppable. So, speaking of Draconis, I mean, you mentioned last game. Wouldn't be surprised to see it picked up by It's Gosu. It kind of seems like just their forte, almost, of a carry hero choice. Was passed up last game, but we'll see if this game that changes up. Moraxis and Magnus are the two follow-up bans there. Poliwag Priest, the final ban from TteS Esports, and now It's Gosu looking to ban their final hero. But no, look at the pool. You still got plenty of options, really, for every single case. I mean, the support, you got your Glacius Nymphora. Torture, actually, the final ban. You gave respect to TteS Esports with that Torture pick, and sure enough, both of these games, he's banned by It's Gosu. So, again, It's Gosu clearly doing the research there. Now, TteS Esports, first pick Glacius. seems like he's a very popular first pick hero.
Yeah, he's very, very strong in every regard. I mean, he's just got so much going for him. I won't even explain because it's quite obvious. He's just a very, very strong laning support. Yeah, again, Insania banning out that what's comfort hero for TTE Esports, that Torture, as well as a Mirax. We saw him ban out both of those heroes last game as well. And that's very, very TTE Esports style. They love those heroes both very, very much. It really is attributed to the style that TTE Esports plays, which is very early game aggression, lots of stuns and team fight early on, not so much late game. But yeah, Fade and Nymphora, wow, boy, do I love that combination. It is deadly. It is really hard to deal with. It works in a similar fashion as Nymphora Pebbles, but honestly, I think sometimes even a little bit stronger because you can have so much map control with Fade, having that clear vision with his ultimate.
Yeah, that allows her to just, obviously, as the ability really does, freely move it around with really no discouragement. And what makes it so great as well is that, yeah, so sure, Nymphora could set her up just like he can with the Pebbles, but Pebbles almost relies on Nymphora to an extent to get those ganks when he's paired up with her. Where Fade, if the port happens to be down on Nymphora, Fade's ultimate could likely be up, and she'll go around herself and do her own thing, get the kill, and then eventually port with Nymphora. So yeah, it is a very deadly combination. Now, Electrician is actually going to be picked up here from TTE Esports. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Electrician did get a slight nerf there in the most recent patch. Silhouette is going to finish off here from TTE Esports, but real quickly, the activation cost was increased from 5 to 10 mana of the Electric Shield. So again, it seems like a case of maybe not being the biggest deal in the world, but that can be, especially when you're trying to tank all that damage incoming or chase somebody down to barely kill them when your mana pool is very, very low. Going from 5 to 10 mana cost as a result of that nerf can definitely play a big role, actually. So. But they still go with the Electrician pick, and then again, Silhouette to finish off as their carrier of choice. We'll see if it's Gosu goes with perhaps that Draconis is still on the board. We'll see.
Yeah, and there you go.
There it is.
So you called it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that Electrician has received some significant nerfs, almost to the point where it's really, really hard to play him in competitive play. But Slick still really, really likes the hero. Tempest is very, very strong. I am actually really surprised they don't go with Ophelia. Ophelia seems to be like that go-to hero as far as the jungle goes, especially when it's available. It gets banned out so frequently now. But if they go with the Tempest, I could also see them, since there is a Glacius on Legion side, this could be very, very smart by Slicks, going both Tempest and Ophelia. They could easily do a Suicide Tempest and Ophelia in the jungle with Silhouette Glacius. This is a very similar style of that formula I talk about. The complexity runs a lot. And then an Electrician solo mid. And that'd be very, very strong. Now, I did want to touch on one point, too, is Fade is actually quite good against Electrician, too, because of that mana burn ability. It does a little bit more damage to Electrician and kind of decreases his tank ability. I just made up a word, tank ability.
Did you, though?
Tank
ability. No, you're right. Obviously, that is very, very true. Now, Gosu is in an interesting spot here. Something tells me it's going to be a, what was I thinking? A Bubbles Tremble, actually, and almost run a, or not Bubbles Tremble, wait, yeah, Bubbles Tremble, run a Bubbles and Tremble, actually both solos, and run a Trilane Draconis with Fade as a support, actually. And a big reason why I say that, of course, you could go your Ophelia route as, okay, it is going to be Ophelia, actually, and so it's Bubbles Ophelia instead, and, as odd as it may sound, there is a downside to running Ophelia when you have a hero like Draconis, who is so reliant, not even necessarily reliant, but it's just so amplified as a result of farming up that jungle. But of course, if you have Ophelia and they're stealing the creeps for her own sake, which wouldn't make sense, then that could definitely downgrade him a little bit. Now, granted, if Ophelia goes aggressive jungle, that could obviously change some things, but still, it's always something to keep in mind with going that. But still, very strong pickups now, and now that forces TTE Esports. They can't go to Ophelia, so actually they are going to go with Cthulhu Font, though, as their final pick here.
Yeah, that'll most likely be a Suicide Cthulhu Font, but if they were able to get... I think the fact that they picked Ophelia was smart, because if TTE Esports was able to get Ophelia and Tempest, I think their lineup would just be unmatchable. I mean, it would just be so strong. They would have everything going for them. So I feel like they were almost forced into picking Ophelia, and that's kind of the name of the game sometimes in lockpick mode, is you're kind of forced to take stuff in certain situations. Electrician, yeah, he'll probably be going solo mid, with Glacius Silhouette in the safe lane, as well as that Tempest there to assist. Maybe with some kind of ganks, but basically just going to be sitting there doing a lot of farming in the jungle. Actually being played by Riser. Normally we see Whitalaba playing the Tempest, but this time it's going to be played by Riser.
Yeah, it is interesting, actually. Whitalaba is on the Glacius role, of course, playing that bitch ward support this time around, so I don't know if that came down to just Riser simply saying he would rather play the Tempest this game, or maybe just something else up their sleeve. But I will say WTF on Silhouette, once again, although we didn't get to cast the match, we did hear about an epic 80-minute match against Pikachu yesterday that helped them get to this point, that apparently where he had 17,000 gold pooled up at a time. So not to say that that's an example of things to come, perhaps, but just worth keeping in mind. I'm just saying. Obviously, he knows what he's doing when it comes to farming on that hero. So, so yeah, maybe. But it's go. So you see off the bat here, we are in a positive course. But 4 out of the 5 heroes at least are already headed towards that top lane. As far as Ward of Sight goes, it looks like there is a couple on Nymphoa right here. But Insania is headed towards that top lane. And now, how do you think its Gosu is actually going to lane this in the end? Are we going to see a solo Fade or a solo Draconis, do you think?
I would hope that they lane it Draconis Nymphoa top with Ophelia, Bubble Suicide bottom, and Fade mid. Because as you mentioned, this is kind of a similar style when we talked to B-Kid when Draconis was farming that short lane, even in it was a tri-lane. And they were able to dominate the lane so hard that it gave Draconis a lot of levels, and then he was able to go into the jungle. Now, you did mention that Ophelia is in that jungle, so if they did want to do a lot of stacking, it's going to hinder either one of their jungles a little bit. Now, once they start off the lane, though, Ophelia can kind of move around and maybe do some harassment mid or harassment even on the Tempest, but she can move around a bit, so it's not the end of the world. It will slow down farm just a bit, but I think the safer route is to have Draconis in that safe lane and Bubble Suicide.
All right, so we will see. Again, at least 4 of them are heading up here, and Bubbles is actually almost... Draconis forgot to buy items, though. Oops, he is going to go back right here. Quickly buy his items and then head up there towards the top lane. It's a little bit of a dirt moment there from KSU, but in the end, I don't think it's going to play the biggest deal in the world. As you see on your mini-map, its Gosu will, by all means, get control of this top spot here way before TteS Esports gets here, as Glacius is headed up here now. They're going to run right past the courier. You see the courier, almost some courier wars going on. So it is going to run into Cthulhu Fawn. There goes the invulnerability, though. And now he's just going to kind of be tedious and kind of scout things out to see where they ultimately go. But Glacius willing to be very careful here. And if you're White Talbot, I mean, you just have to safely assume that they are setting up for something. So, man, he is going balls to the wall here, though. He is using his own courier to scout it out, and it's going to run into Ophelia right there. So, he is still going. He really wants to get the one side down. He gets it off, and oh my gosh, I think he may have been successful. Burning Shadows will hit. Shell Surf going to come out. We can see the port. Yes, we are on top of White Talbot. So will it pay off in the end? Can he survive? Oh my god, I think he's going to. Wow. That was a scary moment for White Talbot, but hey, he pulled it off in the end.
Yeah, and Bubbles is still up here, so that leads me to believe they're going to be doing some lanes I didn't expect here. Ophelia's in the jungle right now, in her own jungle, and I think they're going to walk all the way bottom. Draconis, he does have laning items, but he's going mid. You know, I talked about this yesterday. He's got that Guardian Ring, the 4 minor totems as well as the 6 Runes of the Blight. That is your typical laning items, or side lane items, I should say.
I was gonna say.
And not mid. We don't see this mid very often, but we're going to see the Nymphoa Fade lane actually in the bottom lane against the Silhouette, and then Ophelia's actually going to play a little bit of pressure here in the bottom jungle, or in the Legion jungle, I should say, onto the Silhouette. I got to say, I actually think that this is going to be very, very good. They should be able to apply a lot of pressure to the Silhouette.
Yeah, Silhouette down here, yeah. You would think that WTF may have somewhat of a difficult time down here. And look at Ophelia, actually. She not only takes over the Catman champion that Tempest was trying to do, but then she even takes out one of the elementals with it and is going to bring it back to herself. So this is going to be a fun jungle down here. You got Glacius supporting Tempest. You got Nymphoa supporting Ophelia. A battle is coming out, actually, as Tempest gets his by the Zeal. So, of course, Catman champion locked down by that, or by the Ice Imprisonment. Now Nymphoa getting locked down by the Static Grip, actually. Picked up by Electrician at level 2. Now that's something else that you don't see too often.
Yeah.
But, she is going to be fine. So no kills happening yet, but yeah, some very interesting play already off the bat here between these two teams.
Yeah, really interesting. We never see that grip come out that early, so that's going to delay his shield a little bit. It'll probably put the next 3 levels into that electric shield. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, Ophelia can apply a lot of pressure to the Tempest at the same time. Glacius can apply a lot of pressure to those Ophelia creeps. The Ice Imprism is very, very strong in that regard against those creeps. But here we go. This is what I'm talking about. A lot of pressure will be coming on to this Silhouette here in the bottom lane. WTF playing it, actually, not Slicks this time. Slicks is playing like a Tulifont. And you got to assume that he knows that something's up.
Mm-hmm.
They have no real vision. They have an idea that these heroes are in the bottom jungle. And until he gets a good creep on Insania, but Insania actually does have a Catman, and he's choosing to farm with it. Maybe they just don't find the right opening yet onto the Silhouette. It's kind of hard because Silhouette does have that tree grapple, so you and full life at that. So you got to have the perfect, really the perfect gank here coming out right now.
That's why you got to get a Vagabond and double mana burn him, you know?
Exactly.
It's just elite strats right there. And so, no, we'll see when eventually that gank looks to happen, if it does. But you got Glacius kind of roaming around. He sees that camp was just taken out by Ophelia, and now you have Ophelia. She is not going to take over this Vagabond here. She's going to wait for another spawn, apparently. But yeah, that's may delay some things. So she's probably going to come back, take over Vagabond, and then go back to farming is what I would assume here from Insania. Top lane, though, we have a lot of initiation. Bubble Shelter poured out at the last second. Oh, just got the tail end of that, but you can see the Death Lotus was on him, and he barely survives. Now, Slicks is running in. He was thinking about trampling, but with the health potion used, Bubbles was going to be more than fine. So what a getaway, though, from Umzai right there at the last second. But an adjustment made here by TteS Esports. Silhouette coming to the top lane, and most likely Cthulhu is going to port down here. You see the Zeal Stun, by the way, missed by Nymphoid right there, going for Glacius. But, of course, he'll be fine. So you like this adjustment here from TteS Esports?
I definitely like this adjustment. A lot of times I don't like adjustments because it just wastes too much time and a lot of pressure coming out on the Draconis. So he has a haste rune. I was just like, wow, that flight really makes him fast. But no, that's just a haste rune. But right away we see the change coming out. Fade actually used that Burning Shadow stun. Misses the Cole, unfortunately. The Nymphora stun misses as well. But I think WTF is actually going to go down no matter what to those auto attacks. And Chubby Chris 2 gets the last hit.
Yeah, so adjustments countered by adjustments here, basically. Yeah, that was obviously a very good response from Itsugosu, not only pressuring Silhouette once again, but they also happen to get the Bloodlust kill onto her. So really that could not have been any better for Itsugosu, so very well played on them. And now I'm wondering, is Silhouette going to go back up top, or is she going to go bottom? And looks like she is currently running towards the bottom lane. So WTF is spending a lot of time making a decision here, really where he really wants to go. Again, can you blame him, especially what just happened at the top lane after the port in, but it is using a lot of resources and time. Now, Bubbles getting caught here. He does not have enough mana for Shellstorm. Trying to get enough mana with the bottle charges. He barely... Oh, but he panicked! He panicked right there.
No.
He double queued. And Umzai will go down as a result. Slicks with the final auto attack. And the smackdown on top of it. So he thought he had it. He just barely did not get over the ledge, though.
You know what it probably was is he was probably just spamming it until he got mana and spamming it until he got mana because he was out of mana. And then just hit it too many times. And yeah, as you mentioned, he panicked and... actually probably misclicked, and either way, it was really unfortunate shell surf, and they do get the kill onto Slicks, gets credit for it. And again, more changing up of the lane. Slick's going to walk all the way top here in the lane, or the top lane against Fade. I actually think Silhouette would have been just fine actually going up against that Fade. The roaming was already going around in the bottom lane, and Silhouette can easily hold her own against a Fade, even if Fade does have a little bit more farm. Well, actually a lot of farm. Fade's got 375 gold per minute, but Fade's not level 6 yet, and I think Silhouette could definitely hold her own up there. But she's going to come in the bottom, and we'll see if Itsugosu shows any kind of a response to that.
Yeah, kind of as you talked about right there, though. I mean, Fade, her farm is doing great right now. Obviously, the Bloodlust skill helping, but her creep farm happens to be the highest in the game as well. She has 28 and 19 creep farm here. So far. So Chubby Chris, too, he is definitely doing a fantastic job. You mentioned he's not level 6 just yet, but once he gets level 6, you know, he's going to have whether... I don't know what he's going to go for, honestly. Maybe as it's going to be the Ghost Marchers. So you think of it as Striders, he would have gotten that already, but that's probably more the support route anyway. So probably going to be Ghost Marchers. But again, we'll see where he goes from there. But yeah, this is a great start here for Fade. And especially, now he is level 6, maybe the 6-7 mark. We'll see Chubby Chris, too, look to start making some movement here early on as a result of hitting that mark. But Bubbles, of course, now being down here against the Silhouette and WTF, as you would expect, has started to recover a little bit now when it comes to her farm. And Draconis in the middle lane, Keizu, he's kind of just been holding his ground. How has he been doing against Electrician, actually? What do the creep scores look like? 24 and 4 Electrician, 30 and 7 Draconis. So obviously there has been a little bit of back and forth here in the middle lane, a little bit of movement, but still Draconis is ultimately winning the middle lane when it comes to creep farm himself. And again, I can't say I'm too surprised by that one either. So
yeah, and I think actually this roaming, or sorry, but the changing of lanes is really kind of favored TteS Esports right now. WTF has finally found a lane that's stable, and Ward's coming out early, or right now for Waitalaba, and it's going to spot this Bubbles being played by Zai, just kind of sitting up here. Bubbles can't do anything now, and I think Itsugosu's just done kind of walking or changing lanes now. They're just kind of set. They're sick of it. They're going to get the farm up onto Fade, who actually bought Steam Boots now over the... I don't really see Steam Boots fade that often. Grip coming out on the mid lane. Cthulhuphant there ready to charge. Did he trample already? Yes, he did. The port's coming out, though. Bubble's here to support, but Electrician is just a little bit too tanky right now. So despite the nerfs coming out, he is going to use that electric shield. He'll bottle up, and I think he'll be just fine. The Grace of the Nymph coming out onto Bubbles, but he already had quite full mana. So response coming out, but not quite enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the case. The Cthulhuphant was invisible for pretty much the whole time, and then he finally opened. It was a fairly good trample. He actually trampled to the point where he's got himself stuck on the ledge, too, but it ended up working out because, you know, something we see about the trample all the time with Cthulhuphant is that he'll trample over the hero and go way far, and he'll have to walk back to get an auto attacks. But he actually happened to trample right onto the ledge as well, so he stopped literally right on top of Draconis, got the stun, and was able to auto attack right away. But we still saw it wasn't nearly enough damage. Now Bubbles able to shell surf right before the Tree Grapple stun comes out here at the bottom lane. So good attempt from WTF, but not able to pull through. Obviously, that was initially set up from Glacius, being played by Talbot, as we talked about, but it's still not over. In fact, no shell surf this time for Bubbles. He does have it up now, but the Death Lotus nuke, and Talbot actually gets credit for the kill right there onto Bubbles. So now a 2-1 hero kill advantage in favor of TT Esports actually early on. Cthulhuphant trampling on a Fade in the meantime at the top lane, but Fade turns around with the call and the Burning Shadows, and it gets him to fall back. And Fade, by the way, actually went Steam Boots here as her boots upgrade. So
yeah, I saw that earlier. I thought that was kind of interesting. We don't normally see Steam Boots on Fade, but bottom lane, TD Sports wants to take advantage of this Tempest pick, and they're going to push this. I think they might be able to get this. It's going to be close, actually. The response is coming, and F4 is there ready to go. She's only level 3, though. Draconis is actually farming the triple-stacked Ancients already stacked right here. How fast can he farm them? We'll just have to wait and see. It's coming a little bit slow, actually, to be honest. But he is only level 7, so let's keep that in mind.
The level 7 Draconis struggling. Darn.
Yeah. Oh, what have I got myself into?
Really.
Nymph4 coming out, actually getting a lot of those last hits.
Rune. Thank you.
And there's the regen rune. Oh, boy.
Oh, dive, though, at the bottom tower. Bubbles dropping. Shell Surf away barely. Now the tower goes down, but the Shell Surf was enough to save him. But you do see over here that they're spending this whole time doing the triple-stacked Ancients, which in the end, Keizu will ultimately clean up. And, well, you could even safely say as a result, as soon as he kills these Dragon Masters here, actually, which, of course, do have a good amount of magic armor and making it somewhat difficult for Draconis to finish off, but he finishes them off, and all of a sudden his GPM is now up to 345 gold per minute. So good tower push there from TT Esports, and honestly, he pulled up that gold per minute chart, and overall across the board, it actually is pretty good for them. Just right now, Fade and Draconis are leading the way overall as far as the individual gold per minute goes. But again, Electrician, Silhouette, even Tempest are all up there around the same spot, nearing that 300 gold per minute mark. So that's the good news here for TT Esports, at least.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I got to be picky again, but I just saw after the triple stack being taken out, Keizu using that whole health potion on strength Steam Boots the whole time. And I wasn't able to get the full effectiveness out of that. The best way to do that is to use your Steam Boots on something that's not strength, so that when you switch it back to strength, it kind of converts itself. I do mention it, it's a small thing right now. Nothing really happened. But let's say he did happen to get ganked there and Electrician was waiting behind or something like that, and he barely dies and could have gotten away. It does, little things like that do eventually matter, and while it may not have mattered right then and there, it's just something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's nothing wrong with being a little bit picky, and we are, as part of the cast now, especially with having you on, of course, definitely a part of HoN cast is even getting some learning time in there as far as Heroes of North goes, so I can always respect that. But something else I'm noticing, too, is Ophelia actually going first item Astrolabe. So Insania right away Astrolabe, not even going boots, actually. Just literally first item Astrolabe here as her item of choice, so I find that a little bit interesting. I mean, do you find that a little unique?
I think it's fine if you have a pushing team and you're actively pushing, but this is not a pushing team. I mean, this is pretty much anything but a pushing team. You got Fade and Nymphora and Bubbles. This is a very gank-oriented team, so I would much rather see like an early Boots. Also, Boots I like on Ophelia because your creeps are actually quite quick with the it's not, I wouldn't say recent buff, but it was a buff that actually made your creeps have more movement speed, and it's nice to be able to keep up with those creeps. So I like the early Boots, but yeah, Astrolabe this early when you're not really doing that much pushing. I mean, he actually is taking control over the enemy creep wave and going to be doing some solo pushing here. Will he be successful? I'm not quite sure. I think any kind of response or defense post, yes, 1 TP is pretty much all you need. This tower is going to get into deny range from this catapult. Leon Black, can he get the deny? The pressure's on you. He misses it!
Why did he attack right there? He should have waited. situated. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, there's a big fight going on. Actually, one kill going down already. Draconis jumps in, though he does not have that Cataclysmic Assault just yet. Will it matter? Nice nuke right there, but that TteS ultimate pulls him back in. Then they're going to do the damage. Silhouette on top of it. Finally, the Deathload just comes back up. They do take a Niv 4, but Silhouette will get burned down, so the TteS ultimate not nearly enough. Electrician comes running in with a haste rune finally, but it seems like he may just be a little bit too late, or is he? Locking down Draconis. Draconis very likely going to fall now. As a result of this, yes, he will, but both Ophelia and Bubbles will stay alive. Man, if Electrician was able to be there, that would have been completely different, but that was ugly there for TteS Esports, because not only did he allow that tower to get destroyed in favor of the Hellborn team, but he wasn't there for what was a pretty solid Tempest ultimate coming out for Riser, and could have been very useful, like I said, so...
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Smooth would say, Rionbrag, unfortunately, missed the tower deny up top there. I mean, it's actually quite a big deal. It does prevent a lot of gold coming from the enemy team, so that's very unfortunate. But despite the fact, I think you touched on the more important idea, is that he wasn't there to assist the Tempest ultimate, which was a very, very good Tempest ultimate by Riser. And that would have been a huge team fight for them. Were they able to burst down those heroes that were all locked down?
Something I noticed earlier as well, and I kind of wonder if it affects the Cataclysmic Assault on top of that being, of course, Draconis Ultimate, but the Purge from Electrician, I believe I saw it actually work against a Blazing Flight, so it took that off.
Okay.
I wonder if it works against Cataclysmic Assault, because if it does, you got to think that's actually a pretty big deal as far as a buff being able to purge off a buff like that. But I'm not exactly sure, though. Again, this is a newer hero, so...
Yeah, we'll have to watch that. I don't know myself, so that's a good point.
Yeah. And you would think that that could actually make the... Of course, they picked up Electrician before Draconis was picked up. He was the last pick in the regular pick phase. So, again, not to say that there was that strategy thinking in mind necessarily, but, yeah, again, something to think about, definitely, as far as this hero is concerned. Now, they clean up another pair of triple-stacked Ancients, though. Another pair, that sounds funny, but... 13 and a half minutes in, Draconis is 430 gold per minute. So your typical Draconis farm here, coming out from KSU here, of course, playing for its Gosu, so that is the good news. Overall picture, though, it does say it's a very even game when it comes to gold difference, and even a 1,300 experience lead in favor of TteS Esports. So, again, this is actually an interesting game, the way it's kind of playing out. Now, I will say Fade, she is right now, what is she? She's 1-1-0. For being the farm that she's had and the levels that she's gotten, it seems like that's really not the most effective thing here for its Gosu so far. She does have her portal key now, though, on top of the Steam Boot, so now you would expect to see something out of her as far as ganks come.
Well, I think even the bigger picture on top of that is Niv4 is level 6. She is sitting in this mid lane with Draconis, but you can imagine you can get some very, very easy snipe kills on both the Silhouette and especially, well, the Silhouette, Tempest, and Glacius are all good contenders for kills right now, at least, for that Fade and Niv4 combination, especially with the portal key, as you mentioned, on Fade. So, yeah, I don't think it's the biggest deal. I think Fade's ganking potential is a lot stronger once you get level 11, but nonetheless, you're right. I mean, she could be roaming around a little bit more, but we'll see. The portal key is now up. As I mentioned, not Silhouette, but Niv4 is level 6 with that ultimate, one of the strongest ultimates in the game, and we'll see what they do.
You see right here, actually, Ophelia is trying to stack these Ancients that almost look like so that Draconis can go over, but yeah, actually they're just going to go for themselves, using the Catman Champion, even the Catman Soldier in the midst of it, to actually tank the creeps and do a little bit of farming. So the Legion team, they're going to run over there. They do have a ward of sight here this whole time, so they knew what was going on, but just not able to really initiate as they figured something was up, and they're probably right not to. But Electrician's actually going to go in and clean it up, so this is actually going to work out fairly well for Leon Black here, playing that Electrician, and you got off to the side again. Fade really has literally done nothing since that portal key, and again, she's just picked up that, but she is level 9 now, farming 314 gold per minute, and we're 15 and a half minutes into this game, and to have only 1 kill and 0 assists, as on top of the 1 death for that matter, seems like that just it's not really working too well as far as what you would expect. We are going to see another triple stacked Ancients, though, coming out from its Ghost, and this kind of does go back a little bit to that Courier situation that we keep kind of bringing up every now and then ever since we saw that. And how it seems like most of the teams, if not all of them, have kind of that gentleman's agreement of not blocking each other's Ancients. But I would think if I'm TteS Esports right now that maybe wish we didn't do that, because this is a big deal. And obviously, again, Draconis is really the hero that you want to be able to do it against. And again, I don't know if TteS Esports is part of that or if that's just simply they're not doing it this game, but I would think that ever since that happened in that one game and how effective it was that you would see it. But yeah, you see Draconis right here. I mean, literally 10 seconds later, and they're basically dead. It's just ridiculous for so little mana cost.
If there was a gentleman's agreement, that's an indirect buff to Draconis, clearly.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Draconis, bam, 460 gold per minute. And then on top of the heals, well, actually, the heal missed right there, but yeah, it's just a very, very strong tool.
Ooh, middle lane action. We got initiation now. Vulnerability is going to be used. Ports are coming. And Kelfo going to try to lock down Electrician. He will get stunned as a result of that. But Bobbles now in a lot of trouble. Trample hits. Now the tower goes down in favor of the Helmort team. But Bobbles will fall. You see Draconis running up. He's got that level 2 Cataclysmic Assault. You know he's hungry to make something happen. He actually just finished his Nullstone right there, and it is being delivered. So he's going to have that going into this fight, you would hope, at least for their sake. But the Legion team, they are going to try to apply some pressure. Cthulhu and Electrician, of course, in the front grounds. TteS does have a Portal Key ultimate ready to go, so this is a big deal. But Silhouette is not with them right now, actually. Silhouette is currently at the bottom lane, or top lane, excuse me. So yeah, if I'm TTE Sports, I'm not really looking to get involved anymore, and they are not. So probably the correct decision there from TTE Sports. Kind of wonder a little bit, because that was looking like a possible chance there for them. But they want to play it safe instead. And she's going to farm now. Fade is being ported in by Nymph4. I'm guessing it's Fade at least. Yes, it is Fade. But look at WTF. This 6th Sense, man. That's ridiculous. He literally fell back as soon as an Nymph4 report started. I don't know if you could hear it somehow, but he literally fell back, and now he's going to be fine. That's ridiculous.
I know. I was wondering. I'll tell you, and I really just think it's him being smart as a player. I've watched him and played against him quite a lot, and he's one of those players that does not suffer from getting the last creep syndrome, where you're in a lane, and, you know, naturally, when say you're trying to gank someone and you're waiting in the trees, you're like, we'll go when he goes for the archer. Like, when he tries to get that last hit on the archer, that's when we'll go. But he never does. He'll just let it go because he does not want to risk it. He knows that he's so smart that he knows that teams are going to take that opportunity to go on him at that, you know, exact time. So he doesn't even risk it. And so I just think that's WTF being a very, very smart and patient player.
Yeah, I mean, nothing led me to believe right there that he actually spotted it somehow. That was just simply that 6th Sense like I talked about. So, yeah, and you got to give credit where credit's due, definitely. And WTF, again, going into this event especially, he's as great of a player that he is. There was a lot of criticism specifically surrounding him. He spent a lot of time on that other game that you may know as Diablo 3, and like a lot of people, granted, did. So, but he was spending a lot of time of it, not spending really too much time on Han, apparently. And there's a lot of people bringing that up as kind of being downside for TTE Sports. But as this tournament has progressed, especially, I mean, again, as we see right here, seems like that's almost lost now, and he's doing just fine. So that is the good news for TTE Sports. Now, at the bottom lane, you're going to see they're going to try to set up a little bit of defense. Leon Black, that Cole just drains his mana. That's what we talked about earlier, how Electrician now just loses a lot of his tanky presence because of that. But the portal key away from Fade. Saw the ports coming in. Definitely the correct choice right there as TteS attempted to chase. But it ain't going to happen, and they're going to be able to, they should be able to deny the tower at least. We'll see what happens, but yeah, they definitely should be able to now. So at least they're going to get a tower deny, but a big exchange going to perhaps be happening. Fade running in with that ulti form activated, trying to find an opportunity. TteS Portal King a wave, and so is Electrician. Bursting himself. Oh, the Burning Shadows will barely hit Electrician. It misses Glacius, though. TteS ready for a Portal Key ultimate in 5 seconds. This could be huge right now. Draconis using the Blazing Flight. Did not activate that Cataclysmic Assault, though, so he still has that to work with. But again, a TteS ultimate is ready to go, and all 5 are here from TTE Sports. Can they catch them out? They do not have vision up here, so this is going to be interesting, actually. Shell Surf not going to port, but Cthulhu trampling up forward, trying to maybe bait somebody. Ain't going to happen just yet. You got Nymph4 up here. Maybe she's trying to bait somebody sitting in the front line, but both teams playing very TteS now and just waiting for the other to make a move right here. But it seems like it's Gosu just going to go back a little bit, farm the lane up. But again, this is definitely not over. Both teams occupying this spot. Are we going to see it jump soon? I think it's Ghost who's going to end up falling back. As you see right there, he ports out. So yes, they are.
Yeah, definitely. And right, usually when you see someone port out like that, you're jumping in, you're blinking in random spots looking for somebody. But and actually, this Fade here is just farming the jungle. He will go away and just portal key right above. I gotta assume that Fade's very, very close to level 11. By the way, that exchange there, very unfortunate stun from Chubby Chris. I think he tried to do a little bit too much and try to stun 2 heroes rather than just getting an easy kill. I think they could have gotten on Glacius. Glacius is only level 6, very, very squishy. Actually does have a Grave Lock, believe it or not. Fade jumping in here, trying to get that Haste Rune before Leon Black can bottle it, but is unsuccessful. And Leon Black does have that Haste Rune now bottled. And Nullstone now finished for WTF, so he has bounced back considerably well in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the same item as Draconis now. Of course, Draconis does have that Mighty Blade on top of that, and, you know, next working towards that Shrunken Head really seems to be that go-to synergy of items, the Nullstone Shrunken Head combination. Coming out for Draconis right here, but yeah, Nullstone on Silhouette, that is obviously a very good pickup for her, and she has done fantastic. 328 gold per minute. Again, farming very, very safe ever since the beginning of this game, and it's definitely been paying off. So we're now looking at a 6-4 Hyoku advantage still in favor of TTE Sports. About 21 minutes in, but look at that lead. I mean, the gold is basically the same as far as these two teams are concerned, the difference. But it is a 7,000 experience lead in favor of TTE Sports. So that's definitely where the advantages lie. And this does seem to be, as interesting of a downside as it is, this does seem to be another case of Draconis, everything revolving around Draconis, basically, of just making sure he just gets maximized farm, maximum levels, and then takes over for your team. And now, granted, you do have a Fade that is farming 300 GPM and a good supporting cast that's doing okay. The Legion team, as a team, is doing better overall.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Leon Black's got a lot of levels. You always have to attribute any kind of experience boost to a jungler, especially TteS, just farms so fast in the jungle, gets a lot of levels in the jungle, and Riser has pretty much his core items. He doesn't really need that much more right now. Of course, the Shrunken Head would be absolutely ideal. Nothing could really cancel it. Of course, the Skeleton Kings from the Forest of Ophelia could actually cancel that ultimate as well, but it's not that practical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think things are going quite well for TTE Sports, though. The gold lead is actually now in favor of TTE Sports, only 300 right there. But we've seen the power of Draconis in team fights. I mean, that hero just dishes out damage like none other. So we'll see. Of course, the Tempest ultimate can still lock him down even with that Shrunken Head activated. We'll just have to see who has the better positioning in these team fights. And more importantly, can Fade get a pick off before the team fight even begins?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. That obviously is huge. That actually goes back to, again, Fade. Speaking of Fade, 1-1-0 still. I mean, still only that one hero
with
kill.
With Nymphora, too, who's been level 6 for quite some time.
Exactly. I mean, now, granted, as we did see at the top lane, it's not like they haven't been trying. That it's just freakishly Sixth Sense is coming out from players like WTF, apparently, but you do kind of feel like they really haven't been abusing it as much as you would like. Now, right as we say that, here we go to the bottom lane, and WTF with a Spider Sense Tingle. It looks like they are a little bit. He's kind of in here. He does not have his ultimate. He cannot port. He's in a lot of trouble, actually. He does have support somewhat nearby, though. They are running past the ward of sight, and I think that is scaring Fade a little bit. So, yeah, Fade is not going to jump. They make over Tempest, though, and yes, here's the jump on Tempest. Can still get up here. No, there's that kill into Tempest very quickly as Bubbles assists. So, actually, very good patience there from Miss Ghost, who got the guaranteed kill.
Yeah, they should be doing that all game, and it's going to free up a lot of farm from Draconis. Not like he's had trouble farming by all means, but it's going to make it a little bit easier. Actually, speaking of Draconis, he goes down quite quickly, actually. Is that a level 4? Yeah, that's a level 4 grip, as Electrician is level 14. And it's just able to grip him for so long, 4.75 seconds of doing nothing but sitting there in that grip. Able to get the rest of the support from his team. WTF and Slick's able to help out. So Draconis, yeah, just as we talked about, that was a good gank from Fade, but unfortunately his position was just way too far up and was getting picked off right there.
Yeah, so they lose Draconis in the process, and I think that's safe to say TTE Sports is definitely going to take that exchange. Now, granted, Draconis did purchase the Shrunken Head right before he died. So that actually is a pretty good deal there for its Gosu. Obviously, he's going to have to wait another 20 seconds to resurrect. But, again, he got the token alive, so he's going to be coming right back up. And we'll be ready to go with, of course, that on top of the Nullstone combination. But that does go back. I still am very curious to see whether or not that Purge from Electrician works on that Cataclysmic Assault. But that actually does make that Nullstone that much more powerful if it does, especially with the Shrunken Head, because they do not have anything that could go through that Shrunken Head. I don't even know if Purge actually can. I'm not even sure about that. If Cleansing Shock will actually technically work against a Shrunken Head target. So, but anyways, the Shrunken Head will really screw things up, to say the least, when it comes down to maybe even attempting to do that. So even if you can, that combination of items is going to be very powerful for Draconis. So Draconis, he has finished it, like I said, though. Heading over to Congor, actually, so it's Gosu. Maybe interesting. Look at this warding. That's ridiculous. I mean, all around the Congor pit. So clearly they want to attempt him. And they are going to do exactly just that. Will TTE Sports be able to stop this? You do have Glacius kind of running over. He's going to place a ward of sight, and I don't know if that's just close enough or just out of range to see, but I don't think they know.
I don't think it's going to see inside the pit. If they walked outside of it, yes, but I don't think it shows inside the pit. As a response isn't really coming out from TTE Sports. They're playing very passively. WTF still in that top lane, so yeah, this Congor is probably going to go down. It's going a little bit slowly. There are only 2 creeps onto it. I think one of them died. But nope, that's going to be a Congor kill, and that's huge. I mean, that's just one of the great things about being on Hellborn, too. And actually, if I was TTE Sports Gosu, I was going to say, a great thing to do is as you time a Congor kill, if you get a gank ready with Fade and Nymph4 at the same exact time, really, as a TT Sports, or the other team, I should say, you just simply don't even expect it. It's a really great surprise factor.
Yeah.
But they are pretty much all clumped up here by their Ancients. They took out a triple stack right there. So, but really, really good Congor kill. Very much needed as they're still trailing quite significantly in experience, about 7,500.
I still am intrigued by that. Not only, but again, the gold, it's not... The Hellborn team still doesn't have a goal. Again, if anything, it's been swinging more and more in favor of TT Esports, and that just goes to show you the credit that TT Esports as a team that they deserve, and that's going to be their successful chance here, because that means it's Gosu is putting a lot of resources, as you would expect, into Draconis here. Will it pay off in the end? Will the Golden Dargon be able to do enough damage in the end for you to take over for your team? That's the big question now. Now, he does have another 1,400 gold saved up, so he's going to be on his way. And usually in this case, something like a Savage Mace we would see next. A big jump here at the bottom lane. In the meantime, Electrician gets jumped by Fade. Fade, though, is going to ulti away, actually. So kind of interesting exchange happening there. I don't know if they were planning for a kill or something, but just got the tail end of that. But Legion team going to be fine in the end, and so will the Hellborn side. So... And with that kind of slight gold advantage, but overall, I mean, I'm looking over the items here. You got your Portal Key on Silhouette, of course. Now actually a Mighty Blade just purchased. Electrician, man, he is getting pretty damn tanky himself. We've already talked about Tempest, and hell, even Cthulhu also getting tanky. He's got a Soul's Bulwark now as well. So a lot of good items being picked up here on the Legion side now.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how Sender saw it, but we talked about the gentleman's rule of not using the courier block. But there was a Ward of Revelation actually in the Ancients of its Gosu, and Sender just countered it. So, going past the... I mean, I guess it's not really breaking the code, so to speak, but it's still kind of sneaky and interesting. Now,
we don't know if
I know.
Esports is a part. We're kind of just making this up.
Hey, you mentioned it. I'm going up. Hey, Spraggy said it. He said it.
I saw something about it in that in the chat. I wasn't sure if that was actually something, but yeah. So TT Sports being sneaky, or trying to be sneaky, but as you said, apparently Sender was able to get rid of it nonetheless. But look at this. It's Gosu all grouped up here at the bottom lane. They clearly want to make something happen. Silhouette is solo pushing the middle lane in the meantime, while she still has a little bit of time. In fact, she's kind of thinking whether or not she needs to pour back just yet. It looks like she is going to start to run back, as, yes, the Hellborn team has fallen back, and Draconis is back to the top lane, ready to farm once again. Yeah,
I think it's funny, too, these gentleman rules as well. It goes back to, I remember even DreamHack. I think Swindle had a gentleman's rule with Minut. I won't pick Mage Bane if you don't pick Mage Bane, so we don't have to waste a ban on it. And now there's, I won't block your Ancients with the Courier if you don't block mine with the Courier. I mean, how far is it going to be? It's going to be, I won't ward your newts if you don't ward mine. I won't harass you in lane if you don't harass me.
I won't deny your creeps if you don't deny my... Yeah, that just gets ridiculous. So I don't think it would ever be that extreme.
It's just funny to think.